Alright, hello everyone. So, here are some of the questions probably you don't quite understand. So, let's take a close look at the following questions. Let's take a look at the first one. A bike can be used as a what or transportation as well as a form of recreation. So, here we will choose the word a means of transportation. So which means a way of transportation or a method of transportation. And in this case, we don't use the word series because when we are talking about series, we are talking about a series of movies, a series of dramas. So usually it will be something related. So in the question here, we will choose the one as a means of something, which means as a way of something. So a bike can be used as a way of transportation. Then let's take a look at number 3. So here it says, Nick has lived in France for years. He hasn't picked up much friends so far. So as we know, although Nick has lived in France for a long time, he has not picked up much French so far, which means he cannot speak French. So in this question, we'll choose nonetheless, which means however, or just like but. So even though Nick has lived in France for years, and we know he has not picked up much French so far. And you want to use the word instead, usually there will be something like rather than, and the following will be something as an alternative. So in this case, probably you can say the sentence will be something like Nick does not in France. Instead, he lives in China, for example. So there will be something instead, then there will be something as an alternative. Then let's move on to number 4. The training program gives the young athletes a chance to watch their skills and gain some experience on the field. So for this question, we will choose sharpen their skills. So sharpen, as you can see from the word, sharpen is from the word sharp, right? Just like you try to make a knife sharp. So when you try to sharpen something, which means just like you try to make your pencil or your knife sharp. In other words, you try to make something better or try to make something perfect. So in this case, we will say sharpen their skills. And battle, which means fight. So usually say fight, and we use the word battle as well. So probably it's not about battle or fight. Probably you can say battle, fight for their skills, but basically it doesn't work in this question. And then for number 5, Martha has the sport of soccer recently, and now she watches soccer games on her cell phone day and night. So in this case, we will choose the one taken to. So when you take to something or take to do something, which means you take to the sport, which means you start to do something about the sport. So when you take to something, which means you start to do something. And we don't choose the word pull in here. So when pull in is used, which means like we try to pull in, which means we try to stop our car on the side of the road. And there will be the word pull in. And then let's move on to number 7. So for number 7, here it says, most of your mistake from carelessness. So which means most of your mistake arose. So it's from the word arise. So arise, which means happen. So most of your mistakes happen from carelessness. So from here is more likely like because of. So most of your mistakes happen, or here we use the past tense, like most of your mistakes happened because of your carelessness. And suffer, usually we say someone suffered from something. So probably you can say you suffered from your mistakes, or you suffered from your carelessness, for example. And for the next one, we don't choose lurk, because when you lurk, which means you try to hide yourself, you try to move secretly, and then you try to do something wrong, or you try to do something illegal, probably you like to attack someone, and there will be the word lurk. So basically, we'll choose the word arose here, which means happen. All right, so let's move on to part 2. So for part 2, let's take a look at number 9 first. So for the sentence here, it says, because of its natural beauty, it has been what for thousands of years. So as you can see here in this blank, we have has been. So probably it will be better for us to choose a word like see, right? Like it has been appreciated for thousands of years. So here we need a passive voice in terms of the verb here. Well, sorry. Okay, has been done, for example. So it has been appreciated for thousands of years. And we don't choose A here because for the word here is a verb, unless you make that one into a passive voice as well. Then let's move on to number 10. So for number 10, here it says, amber is what a fossil. A lot of people choose is replaced with a fossil, but we know actually amber is a kind of fossil. So in this case, we don't choose the word replace with, because when you replace with something, which means you try to change something with something else. So if you still remember the word replace with, all right? So in this case, here we say essentially, amber is essentially a fossil. So we choose the word essentially here. So essentially, just like to the substance itself or to the essence itself, or just like basically or actually, it's just like a fossil. So that's why we will choose the word essentially here. Okay, so probably you can also write down the Chinese if you don't understand this word. Okay. Then let's move on to number 14. So for number 14, here the question is, the sentence is, another variety that many people what is white amber. So let's take a look at this sentence together. So for this sentence, another variety, this case will be the subject, and the verb is here. So another variety is white amber. So inside the two phrases we have here, that many people what? So this part will be a clause. So we know inside the clause we have a subject and also a verb, and we have many people here. So that's why for number 14, here we'll choose a verb, which is covet, which means they want or they desire for something. All right. Then let's move on to the last one for number 15. So as you can see here, it says, this is much fairer than yellow amber and often features. So features something, which means you take something as your kind of characteristics, as a kind of features as well. So we can use feature as a verb. So feature something. So in this case, we can see a noun, swirls, here. So that's why here we will say like features something swirls. So we can take a look at this one. I cover the word, sorry. So swirls here is a noun. So that's why we need an adjective here. So that's why for number 15, here we don't choose the 1B highlights. So because highlight here, probably it might be a verb or probably it might be a noun. So which does not work here. So for number 15, we'll choose the word decorative, which means something used for decoration. But here, decorative is an adjective. So that's why this one will be better for number 15. All right, then let's move on to part 3 for reading comprehension. Basically, for number 19 and number 21, I think most of people get the correct answers, so we're not going to detail that. And then let's take a look at number 20. So for number 20, we have here, the question wants you to find out the word which is closest in terms of means of the word received used here. So as we can see here, like Netflix, right? Though it is unclear whether this reinterpretation of the novel will be received positively. So here, receive is more likely whether this kind of novel will be accepted in terms of its feedback, just like how those readers or how those audience will react to the one we have here. So basically, we know for the word receive, it has different kinds of meanings. So let's take a look at the first one. We received a warm welcome. So receive here is more like a greeting or welcome, something you receive, right? And then for B, the gallery received more than 500 visitors on its opening day. So here the word receive is more likely to you get something, all right? And for C, Gina's spontaneous idea turned out to be well received. So just like the one of Netflix, right? Whether they'll be received, whether they'll be reacted to positively, all right? And then for the last one, your package was received. So receive is more like that was got by the carrier, all right? So it's more like to be the word like get something. So that's why we will choose the one here. The idea will be received. So it's more like something more abstract, actually. So idea will be received, all right? Just whether we know whether the adaptations or the story will be received, or whether Gina's ideas will be received, okay? So whether they will be reacted to in a positive way, all right? So that's roughly all about the things probably you still quite not, you kind of don't quite understand when you are taking a test, all right? So probably that's all for this one. Then let's call it a day here. So if you still have any question, you can still leave a comment on the board of classwork, and then I will answer your questions over there.